Hello everybody and welcome back to the Lilac Planet. I've given AI a command to write a story about our game character Andy getting locked in his closet by a possessed version of his friend Klaus. Andy was a famous horror game character loved by millions of gamers around the world. He had just finished a successful live stream. I guess he was a YouTuber. Let's just glance over that. And he was ready to call it a night. As he was about to switch off his computer, his friend Klaus appeared on the screen, and he was surprised to see him, as Klaus had been missing for weeks. Klaus looked different than Andy remembered. His eyes were dark, and his voice was low and raspy. Andy could feel a sense of unease creeping up his spine. Klaus told Andy that he had been possessed by a demonic entity, and that he needed Andy's help to get rid of it. Andy agreed to help, but before he could say anything else, Klaus disappeared from the screen. Suddenly, Andy heard a loud banging on his door. He got up to check, but before he could reach the door, it swung open and Klaus was standing in front of him. I don't easily get scared by horror stuff, but this... that's my friend Legendary_Adventure. Go ahead and check him out. Check her out. This AI is doing a pretty good job of creating a horror story. I think it's a 4+ game. So Andy could see that Klaus was no longer himself. His eyes were pitch black and his skin had turned pale. Klaus lunged at Andy and the two of them tumbled to the ground. Andy tried to fight back, but Klaus was too strong. Klaus dragged Andy to his closet and locked him inside. Andy could hear Klaus laughing maniacally as he walked away. Andy was trapped in his closet with no way out. He could feel his heart racing and his breath become shallow. The closet was dark and Andy could barely see anything. He could hear strange noises coming from outside. He knew that he was not alone. He tried to calm himself down, but the fear was overwhelming. Hours passed, and Andy was still locked in the closet. He had no idea how much time had passed. He could feel his stomach growling and he was thirsty. He knew that he needed to get out soon if he wanted to survive. Finally, the closet door creaked open and Andy was able to escape. He ran out of the house and never looked back. He knew that Klaus was no longer his friend, and he needed to stay away from him at all costs. From that day on, Andy became more cautious about the people he trusted. He knew that anyone could become possessed by a demonic entity, and he didn't want to end up locked in a closet again. That was a good horror story. I think I'm going to write another one. Okay, I've made another one, last one for today, because it's nearly bedtime. Write a story about horror game character Andy getting a birthday party, but his friend Melody claimed to have been trapped by an entity. Obviously, Peter. Andy was a horror game character who never really celebrated his birthday. That's sad. He was always busy scaring players and lurking in the shadows. So he never really had the time to celebrate. However, this year was different. His friend Melody planned a surprise party for him, and he was excited to finally have a reason to let loose and have some fun. As he entered the dark, ominous room where the party was being held, he was greeted by the sight of his closest friends and colleagues. Must be the rest of his friends. They all had put in a lot of effort to make the place look spooky and eerie, just the way he liked it. There were even cobwebs everywhere, flickering candles, and even a fake tombstone with his name on it. As the night progressed, Andy found himself enjoying the festives. He was dancing, eating cake, and even cracking jokes with his friends. It was a rare moment of happiness for him, and he was so grateful to Melody for making it happen. However, the joyous atmosphere was interrupted when Melody screamed. She claimed that she had been trapped by an entity and could not move. Everybody rushed to her aid, but they could not see anything unusual. Andy was worried and confused. He had never seen Melody so scared, and he didn't know what to do. As they tried to calm Melody down, strange things began to happen. The candles flickered even more violently, and the cobwebs started to move as if alive. Suddenly, a chilling voice echoed throughout the room. It was a voice that Andy recognized all too well. It was a voice from the main villain from his own game. This AI is doing too well. Andy's heart raced as he realized they were not alone in the room. The entity that Melody had spoken of was real, and it was after them. The group huddled together, trying to find a way out, but the doors were all locked. They were trapped. As they frantically searched for a way out, Andy realized that the only way was to defeat the entity and face it head-on. He gathered his courage and stepped forward, ready to fight. His friends looked at him with admiration and respect, knowing that he was their only hope. With a deep breath, Andy turned out and faced the entity. It was a terrifying sight, but he did not flinch. He fought with all his might, using his knowledge of horror games to outsmart the entity. And in the end, he emerged, I'm just going to end this, victorious. That's all for now. See you, Astronomer.